Hello and welcome back. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're going to be reviewing the new Foo Fighters album. Okay, excuse me, if you cannot tell by my voice, I am ill. Today is, well, technically it's midnight on Friday, but I've been ill since last Friday. It's been a week. Wow. That's crazy. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Anyway, the album review. So, Foo Fighters. But here we are. So, one thing I sort of find with Foo Fighters is that a lot of their tracks usually sound quite similar. That's not a bad thing though, because usually they're quite good. And in this case, for this album, it's the same. Because I mean, I'll get onto it in a minute, but really, it's only the first couple of songs that sound similar, and then the rest they're sort of all very different, which is very cool. So just quickly about Foo Fighters, they did used to be my favourite band. I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. There wasn't really any reason I stopped listening to them. I sort of just discovered hip hop and rap, and being a young rebellious kid, I preferred it. But yeah, no, it's nice to listen to them from time to time. So yeah, moving on. So Rescued and Under You provide a very solid start to the album, with Hearing Voices taking a mellow start but building up, having a large range of guitar chords played, which is pretty cool too. And I do also like how at the end it goes acoustic with no drums. So yeah, I do actually want to say quickly, I'm sort of structuring this very differently to how I usually do. I'm going to go through all of the tracks at once instead of individually, because I think it will just sort of help with the flow a bit more, even though I'm now talking about other stuff. Right, I'm waffling. So next we come up to the title track. I'll cut this out. Next we have the title track. It does mention the name of the album in the track, so I guess it achieved its purpose. No, the jokes aside though, it is pretty good. And then we move on to The Glass, which has a mellow acoustic start, which sounds great. It takes a minute for the drums to kick in, but they're pretty solid too. So then we move on to Nothing at All, and I thought I was playing a different album for a minute. I didn't think this sounded like Foo Fighters at all. So I mean, respect for trying a different sound, I guess. I will be honest though, out of the 10 tracks on this album, this one is probably my least favourite. By no means is it bad, it's just not really for me. However, I will say that after about a minute, it does improve, where it sort of kicks in a little bit more for the chorus, but then it does go back to how it was before for the verse. So then we move on to Show Me How, and I love the instrumental for this, and the singing goes so well with it. So clearly, obviously it's Dave Grohl, but then also there's a woman's voice over it too. I'm not sure who she is. I did look at the credits, but nothing really came up, so I'm not sure. I will say though, for the chorus, it does feel like the instrumental's missing something, and I just I can't really put my finger on it, but I think it needs like a stronger bass or stronger electric guitar presence or something. Yeah, it's also maybe a little bit too long, but because it just off the top of my head, I think that one's like between 4 and 5 minutes, and it's quite repetitive. But otherwise, I did quite like it. Then we move on to Beyond Me. So once again, this is a pretty calm opening, but when that guitar comes in, but yeah, also so the singing over the piano is pretty cool too at the start. And then near the end, there's a guitar solo which is pretty nice as well. So now we have two more songs. Yeah, I need some water. I'm struggling. All right. So, track number 9, The Teacher. It's 10 minutes long. So it takes about 1 minute and 20 seconds for it to sort of properly start up, but it's pretty solid when it does start. However, it is a very repetitive song. I'm sorry. it is also quite weird because at about 4.5 minutes, it kind of come to a stop, and then it just starts up again, doing the same thing. So a little bit confusing. Well, not confusing, but like, what's the point of it? But yeah. The final minute of it though is quite funny because it's sort of for most of it it's sort of repetitive and not quite mellow, but sort of just there on the scale. And then at the end it goes, and then in the just reading my notes here, sorry, in like the final 12 seconds or something, it like, I don't know, I think it's a sound effect instead of the bass, but it just makes it sound like so muffled, and it's quite funny, but it hurt my ears. And they also did that in this next song, the final one, Rest. So it's a pretty low-key song to sort of end the album, but then at about 2 minutes 40, some drums and a lot of guitar comes in, which is pretty cool. That's the bit where it's like they add the sort of muffled sound effect again, and it does hurt my ears. It's a little bit too much bass, but it is very good. So overall, well, I mean, I will be honest, I didn't even know this album was releasing. How did I even find out about it? I really can't remember, but I mean, it was a nice surprise to see the Foo Fighters dropped an album, considering what I'm about to talk about. But quickly, I'm not going to list my favourite tracks or standout ones because, to be honest with you, most of them were very good. It's a very well-rounded album covering a bunch of different sort of moods and sounds. So it's very good. So yeah, this album was quite clearly, without doing research, it's quite clearly a tribute to their late drummer, Taylor Lautner, I think his name is, off the top of my head. But yeah, but he was the drummer for Foo Fighters. So I mean, yeah, it's quite a sad situation, but I think they've done a good job of paying respect with this album. So yeah, no complaints. Pretty well-rounded album, and I will definitely be adding some of the tracks to my playlist. So maybe comment whether you like this structure of video more. I don't know. But yeah, thanks for watching.